Have you ever wanted to shoot a film with core shell crystal technology? Of course you have. And today we're going to be talking all about a film with exactly that technology. It is Ilford Delta 100, one of Ilford's professional range. Stick around for tips and tricks, reviews and sample shots of Ilford Delta. Quick one before we get started. If you like film photography and want to see more videos like this one, film reviews, tips and tricks, that kind of thing, then please do make sure you're subscribed to our channel and notifications are turned on. Thank you so much. As I mentioned in the introduction, Ilford Delta is one of Ilford's professional range. That is the Delta films Delta 100, Delta 400 and Delta 3200. The main difference, of course, being the film speeds, the box speeds of those different emulsions. This is similar to the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago about Kodak Pro Image, which falls into Kodak's professional range versus their consumer range. Ilford have professional under the Delta line, and they have their plus films, which is HP5 plus, FP4 plus, PanF plus, etc. The difference here is the technology. Delta contains core shell crystal technology, which allows for really fine grain, maximum sharpness. Bit of history. Delta was first brought to market. The Delta 400 film arrived to the world in 1990. 2 years later, at Photokina in September 1992, Delta 100 appeared, and then in 1998, Delta 3200 made up the final piece of the Delta puzzle. When it was launched, people reviewed it very, very well. At the time, FP4, which is rated at 125 ISO, was seen as the king of the medium speed black and white films, but people were really excited to see this as the challenge to that and understand exactly how that core shell crystal technology would work in real life. The emulsion got a further upgrade in 1995 to improve shadow detail, to improve slightly the exposure latitude, although we'll come on to why that's still probably one of the film's weaknesses versus the plus range in a minute. And since then, the film has become a staple of photographers who are looking to get the maximum detail out of their black and white photographs. Delta 100, so 100 speed film, this is going to perform best under bright light. It's not going to be a film that you're going to be able to take into a nightclub and try and shoot gig photos with like you could Delta 3200. But of course, the other thing that impacts a film's grain is the film speed. Films that are slower, it is much easier to get better detail, finer grain, than speeds that are faster. So it is not fair to compare Delta 3200 versus PanF, for example. You've got to look like for like. So Delta 400 versus HP5, for example. Comparable film speeds, but Delta much finer grain. Delta 100 versus FP4 at 125, much tighter grain. Delta 100 will also have finer grain than Delta 400, more so than Delta 3200, etc, etc. So not only are you getting that fantastic crystal technology of the Delta range, because it's the 100 version of that film, this is really going to be the best of the best. And actually, when I looked through the customer reviews on site in preparation for this video, someone talked about how they had scanned 35mm, so again a small format versus 120 and 4x5, which is also available. They'd scanned 35mm frame and were zooming in on their HD screen to try and find some grain. And they said that by the point when they'd zoomed in enough to find some, actually they weren't sure whether the noise was really coming from the grain or whether they'd reached the limits that their scanner could show them. That's how fine grained this is. When I spoke to some of my friends over at Ilford, a lot of them shoot this personally. The preference for developing is, of course, they would say this, using Ilford's developing chemicals. DDX apparently delivers incredible detail, and of course if you print it, again, these are going to be absolutely gorgeous prints. What does this mean for your photography? Well, it's going to give you, as we've said several times, zero to low grain in any of your photos. You will get really, really clear, clean lines, beautiful blocks of tonality. You're going to get an incredible amount of detail coming through. This, if you are into a really clean, clinical look, is going to be absolutely brilliant. Some people have said that with portraits they didn't like it that much because it took away some of the character, some of the atmosphere of the film. Conversely, as you can see here, you can actually use studio lighting and Delta 100 to really bring out the details and the nuances of somebody's face, somebody's hair into really sharp relief. We mentioned the narrow exposure latitude. That is the slight thing you have to give up in order to get this detail. This isn't as forgiving as FP4, as HP5, that notorious point HP5 at anything and it's going to give you an image. You will need to be more careful with exposing and getting the metering right in camera versus the plus range. But what that gives you in return is a bit stronger contrast. Now, it's not going to be overwhelming, it's not going to totally blow out everything, especially with that 1995 upgrade that brings out more detail in the shadows. So it won't be overwhelming, but it will be more noticeable than the plus range. So you will get gorgeously sharp, detailed, fine-grained images with some lovely contrast. What this means, I think for me at least, is it points me towards street photography, architectural photography, looking to accentuate strong lines, looking to accentuate the boundaries of shadow and light, capturing light shafts coming through windows, that sort of thing, rather than portraits or landscapes. Of course, this is entirely up to you, but for me, it's definitely going to be held onto until I can get around a town or city and really take advantage of the street photography. For WonderBox subscribers, this is the third Ilford film that we've covered so far, but the very first of the professional range. So please do let me know what you're thinking of shooting with it, what you're looking to capture in order to take advantage of that incredible detail. If you've shot this before, please do drop below your comments, your thoughts. How did you develop it? What were your thoughts if you've printed it? Did that make a difference? What are your top tips for scanning and making sure that that incredible detail captured in the negative does flow through? As I've mentioned, this is available in 120 and large format as well as 35mm. Of course, as you go up the sizes, that detail just becomes more and more incredible. This really is an absolutely stunning emulsion. Professional range, professional results. I don't think that's the tagline, I've just made that up, but we're going to stick with it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Please do let me know what you think of this film when you've shot it. Drop below any examples that you have, any links to Flickr albums, etc. I would love to check them out. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon.